Welcome back to the Self-Esteem and Confidence Mindset podcast with me, Johnny Pardo. And today I welcome Avi to the show where we're going to be talking through today with around a few subjects which I know you're going to enjoy today. So a quick introduction to Avi. So you have never met anyone quite like Avi. Born in Brooklyn, New York, and raised in Los Angeles, California, Avi is a respected and recognized as one of the most knowledgeable and successful Social Security disability attorneys in the United States. In addition, Avi is a community rabbi, social activist, and highly respected orator who has addressed tens of thousands of audience members. So, welcome to the show today, Avi. Glad to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me. What a treat for me.
Yeah, well, a treat for me as well. I'm going to enjoy this conversation. I know we're going to cover lots of ground today.
Great.
So, yeah, like, Avi, just be really great to know a little bit about, obviously, you do many things, it sounds like, and I know you're impacting a lot of people. But social security disability, for anyone who's kind of not aware about what you do as an attorney in this, what is kind of like in summary the role of that, and what's got you so passionate about this? It sounds like you're really, really kind of a big driver behind this.
You know, the working with patients, working with the people in need has always been a passion of mine.
Mm,
Specifically working with patients and disabled people. When I was younger, I used to volunteer some time at the hospitals, and I was very touched by the response that I would get from the patients going bedside to bedside. Now, certainly that was just as a younger kid in high school. There was very little I could do to help patients other than visit to them, give them a smile, tell them everything's gonna be okay. But as I grew and as I went to college and then law school and now into my career, I've decided to dedicate myself towards working with the disabled community. The Social Security Disability Program is a program that's designed for people who are out of work for at least 12 months in a row. And I should say it's people in the United States for at
mhm,
least 12 months in a row. And if you've paid into the program, into the Social Security program over the course of your career, and you've accumulated what they call work credits, you need 40 work credits. Then if you get into a catastrophic accident, or if you become so sick that you can't work for 12 months in a row, there's a Social Security disability program that you can tap into to help you during your time of need. A lot of people think that the Social Security program is designed only for retirement benefits. They say, oh, when I get older, I'm going to get my Social Security. But the truth is that in addition to the Social Security retirement program, there's also the disability program. And that's really where my passion is. I don't deal with the retirement program. I'm focused exclusively on working with people of all ages
mhm,
who have been dealt a difficult hand in life. They cannot work. Often they're bedbound or they're using assisted devices to get
mm.
them through the day. They're medicated. They're in terrible pain and suffering. And I'm happy that I could be of service to them to help them do an application or an appeal or even a hearing before a judge to help them get approved and receive some help every month in by way of a cash payment to them, a cash benefit payment.
Wow. Okay. No, no, yeah, it sounds like I can hear your like passion, your drive behind helping people in this area and always wanting to serve. So, how long have you done this for, Avi?
I'm coming up to my 30th year. Do you believe that? I'm
Wow.
coming up to this is all I've done for about 30 years. And I've helped, without exaggeration, hundreds of thousands of people. My career was in California for about the first 25 years. I'm
Mm,
now in New York for the last 10 years. And I'm servicing people nationally all across the country. Social media has really been a big part of that. It's allowed me to reach audiences way beyond an audience that I would have been able to reach through traditional marketing like a newspaper or a billboard, which has always been, what attorneys use to go ahead and get new clients. Social media, podcasts like yours really gets the information out there. It educates people as to what their rights are. I mean, remember, they've paid for these benefits.
mm,
They've paid every month for these benefits, and they should be able to tap into them when they need them. It's a very difficult process.
mm,
Unfortunately, about 70% of all applications are denied. There is an appeal level where about 85% of the appeals are denied. They're really trying to weed people out. And then most of the cases end up at hearing, where depending on your law firm, I have a between, depending on the year, between a 75 and 80% win rate. You win most of the cases at hearing before a judge. And I'm happy I can be of service to so many people. And yeah, it's very meaningful when someone calls you up after you've won their case.
Mm,
And with tears in their eyes, they say, "You've literally changed my life. I can pay my rent, I can buy food, I can buy medicine.
mm,
My children also get money. If you're found disabled, children under 18 also get money.
no. Wow.
It's a and they get Medicare. It's a very robust program. So I'm happy that I can provide this area law, provide this service.
Mm. And sounds like very like rewarding to hear that change and or help facilitate that change in someone's life of what they're,
Yeah,
deserving and entitled to. And
it's
it's
remarkable. It really is remarkable. People call me often when their back is against the wall. They have nowhere else to turn. They don't know what to do. Like I just said, they're sick. They can't work. They can't pay for the rent. They can't pay for the medicine. They can't pay for the food. They may not be eligible for some county programs or some local programs. And the only thing available to them is the Social Security Disability Program. And that's where I step in. That's my job to try to help people out.
mm. And it must come with some challenges for yourself in the process as well, I'd imagine.
I'd say the biggest challenge is balancing. I have 7 children and a bunch of grandchildren already, uh, happily married. I'd say the biggest challenge comes between just juggling personal life and work life. You try to be a good father, a good husband. At the same time, you try to work really hard to help these people who need the help. But I
Mm.
think I'm doing a good job juggling it all, and I'm happy to be of service to people.
Oh, amazing. And when were you an attorney in another area before this?
No, believe it or not,
Mm.
I've only worked in the disability arena. For about 20 years, I worked in a large organization that represented hospitals and counties that would go ahead and help people apply for, in America, they call it Medicaid, which is a program for health insurance benefits. And in addition to helping people apply for Medicaid, we started doing Social Security disability applications and providing that assistance. And those are really the only areas I focused on. I've been very focused on providing these people with the help that they need. I really haven't gone into other areas. This is what I do. I live, breathe, eat, and sleep Social Security disability law.
Mm, I've got it. And you seem so driven. I know, well, I know, I don't, you don't see, but I know you're so driven on this mission. And you mentioned about a family life as well. How have you been able to kind of, I don't like the word like balance, like it's 50-50, but how have you been able to sort of like navigate that mix between wanting to support people and family life?
Well, one thing I've done actually is I have one of my sons working with me, which is a great privilege and honor that I
Mm,
can bring the next of guard, so to speak, into the business and teach them how to work it. So I get a lot of fulfillment with that. But I think that overall, my family and my children, they understand the importance of what I'm doing. I'm there for my kids and my family when they need me to be there, and I'm there for the clientele when they need me to be there. But certainly, this is not a job that's 9 to 5. This is not a 9 to 5 job.
mm,
People's lives are at stake. If I lose a case, they may become homeless. They may not get the health insurance that they need and may ultimately get sicker or, God forbid, pass. So my family understands the importance and they're very supportive of everything that I do to try to help the disabled community.
mm. And how do you, I'm just curious yourself, like work on, it sounds like quite a high, from my perception, a lot of high emotions might be in this role for yourself with a lot of, these situations, really wanting to help people. How do you find like managing that for yourself? Is there something you find useful?
There are high emotions. I'm
Mm,
not going to lie to you.
mm,
Like I said, a lot of people call me when their back is against the wall. They have a lot of pressure.
mm,
Rent is due. Like I said, they can't pay for medication. So the phone calls, every one of the phone calls is always an urgency. Where are we at with the case? What is the next step? How are we going to get the medical records? What about the appeal? Are we going to prepare for the hearing? How do I deal with all that? You have to really, like most people, you have to find time for yourself, give a little TLC. If you can try to walk a little bit, try to
Mm,
do some mindful meditation, different things. But really, spending time with my family is how I really find the time to keep me normalized while there's so much pressure, from these situations.
mm, got you. Okay, so yeah, family and people around you is a big one
Yes. And community. I'm very involved with my community.
of your community. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. You do outside of this. You've sounds like you do quite a lot outside of this role as well.
Over the course of my career, I've been blessed to be a part of and founded two different organizations. One deals with at-risk youth. I've set up an organization in California that helps kids really get off of drugs, get off the streets, get back in school, mend their relationships with their parents or their teachers, provide them with career guidance and counseling. So that was one organization, very successful organization. It's still running right now. And the second organization is once you start dealing with the at-risk community and you start to get under the hood and understand how these kids got to where they got to and why they are the way they are, you will find, not in every case, but in many cases, that there's some dysfunction in the family that has contributed to where the kid is at. So this second organization is really focused on the families. It's really
Mm,
focused on giving the support that the families need so that there can be a healthy environment to try to help facilitate their son or their daughter coming back, so to speak, coming back to the family, getting back in school, getting back on track. Those are two organizations that I've been very passionate about, and I do quite a bit of public speaking in the community on many different topics, character building, religious topics. I happen to be, not I happen to be, I'm proud to be Jewish. So I've served in the capacity of a rabbi and a rabbinical figure in at least three different temples, three different synagogues, two in Los Angeles and one in New York over here. And again, it's a very fulfilling feeling to be involved in the community, to give back to the community, and to work with the community when they need the help that they need. I'm happy that I can be there, to help out.
mm, I love that. Yes, so that's quite it's quite a lot you're doing outside as well. Um,
Uh, I have a busy schedule.
you have a busy schedule for sure. I love that. So what was um, the character building you mentioned as well? That's something that you're doing quite a lot of. How yeah, who are you speaking to that? Is that kind of the kids or is it people in general?
Over the years, it started with the kids.
Okay.
It actually started, believe it or not, when I was in high school. I was involved in student council, and then
Mm,
when I was in college, I actually was also like a guidance counselor slash dorm counselor slash what's the word that I'm thinking of when a student has an advisor, a student advisor, and I started providing character building over there, letting the kids know, you can do it and you're someone special and you have tremendous potential and you just have to reach that potential. And then that really graduated over to speaking to the community and doing that same type of work, helping people find themselves. I guess you can call it in many ways. It's life coaching with touches of spirituality in it, religious based. It's again, it's very fulfilling when you help someone get back on track, get back on their feet, and find hope in life. A lot of people, they have a lot of pain. There's a lot of people who have a lot of pain. Things are difficult for them. So to be able to be a friend to people, and to help people out has been very fulfilling. And a lot of that carries over to the disability work that I do because I have a lot of my clients who are down on their luck, who
mm,
have no hope, who in some cases, if it's a mental health problem, they're isolated. They don't leave their home. They don't leave their bedrooms for
mm,
days or weeks at a time. They sit in the dark with the shades
mm,
closed. And part of what I do is not just, well, let's file the application and you're a file number and let's move the case forward through the process. It's more than that. They're not a file number. They're a person and we need to work with them to make them in a more complete way uh, understand their value, understand that tomorrow is going to be a better day, and that someone is sticking out their hand and saying, "I'm ready to help you." So I'm able to help them with the character building. I'm able to help them by giving them hope, and I'm able to help them on a practical level with helping them apply for Social Security disability benefits.
Mm, And how, things like mental health can be quite hard to like prove, I guess, sometimes when you're putting a case through. Like I don't know what the system you have to go through, like things like maybe anxiety, depression, PTSD. Like how's the best way to sort of like claim for those things have you found in your experience?
That's an excellent question because those type of diagnoses that you named, they don't show up on X-rays or
Mm,
CAT scans or MRIs. The labs, the laboratories that you take, they don't show that. So what you really need to do is you really need to, and I always say this in my practice, medical records, medical records, medical records. You need to really be going to a therapist, ideally once every 2 weeks, but if you can't
mm,
afford it, maybe once a month. You need to be attending sessions and getting the help that you need. And we provide all of those medical records, which the session notes and the therapy notes, which outline exactly, like you said, the PTSD and why they're suffering for it and what's the trauma that they've been through, or the symptoms of depression or the symptoms of anxiety. The medical records are the backbone of the case. Peripheral to that, there can't be any drugs or alcohol. Peripheral to that, we have to show that they're on a medication regimen and that they're compliant with the medication regimen. Peripheral to that, you want to try to get letters from the doctors of support that show where they're at. And then again, most importantly, there's something called a residual functional capacity questionnaire. They have one for physical symptoms, and they have one that I've designed for mental health symptoms and diagnoses, where you have your doctor fill out and say, listen, this is their functional capacity in terms of their ability to interact with the general public or coworkers or supervisors, their capacity to understand information, process instructions, follow routines. There are metrics that are in place that the Social Security judges will look at to evaluate and say, you know what? This person needs some help and we're going to grant their benefits. There is if you have no medical records and you're not getting treatment, or you're not taking your medications, or you're not going ahead and um, staying off of drugs and alcohol,
mm,
you're not going to win a case. They're not just giving out free money on the corner, the
sure.
government. You really have to establish um, that you have a severe medical impairment that's going to last 12 or more months.
Mm, got you. Okay, yeah. So kind of like that solid evidence, like you say, of doing the right things that they are taking therapy sessions and those bits of evidence and are not on the drugs and not on the alcohol.
Right.
Okay. That makes
Proving a mental health case is very different than proving a case that might be based on a spine injury or something dealing with their heart or neurological or respiratory. Those are all things where you can have very clear, like I said, imaging, very clear labs or surgeries or certain things. You can say, look, this is what I've been through. Mental health is a little bit soft and mushy. It's an invisible disease, they say. It's an invisible disease.
mm,
Uh, so you have to really be in the industry for a long time that I'm in. You have to have been in front of judges for years and years and years, and I've done tens of thousands of hearings over my career. You have to really know how to um, in these hearings that are about an hour long. So you need to know how
mm,
to pull out the testimony from the client. You need to know how to present the theory of the case. There's a lot of pieces that go in. You can't just go there and say, I'm really depressed.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm a
sure.
really nervous guy. Some traumatic event happened to me and like I can't get it out of my head. That's not going to win a case. There's a lot more to it. And that's why I highly encourage someone, if they feel that they need the help in applying for disability benefits, that they should retain an attorney to have by their side who knows the system, who knows the process, and who can hold their hand as they go through this process.
Mm. Rather than going by themselves and claiming it. Yeah.
There's literally the lifespan of an application and a case and an appeal and hearing is 18 to 24 months.
Wow.
18 to 24 months. It's a long drag. So yeah, you need to have someone who's holding your hand through that. There are forms that need to be filled out and returned to Social Security. There's examinations that they'll send you to with their doctors, Social Security. Like I said, there's a full-blown hearing in front of a judge. They're not just giving out benefits. You really need to have a skilled attorney, an educated attorney, an experienced attorney who's not going to get pushed around a courtroom by a judge to drive your case home, to establish your theory of the case, and to win the case for someone.
And what goes on in a hearing? Like some of the main things that take place.
The main thing that takes place in a hearing, well, usually there's about five different people that are part of a hearing. They are confidential and they're closed sessions. But what they have in a hearing generally, there's three people to start out. There's the judge, obviously. There's the client who's applying for benefits, and hopefully there's an attorney. There's usually a court monitor who's over there recording and assisting with it, making sure everything is done administratively correctly. And then Social Security brings in someone called a vocational expert. A vocational expert is someone who specializes in jobs. And what the vocational expert does is they provide expert testimony to the judge by saying, you know what, we have an individual here who's, I'm just picking an age, who's 52 years old, who has a high school education, right? Whose past relevant work history was working as a security guard. This is their skill set. And based on their restrictions and limitations, these are the type of jobs we think that are available. So what happens in this hearing with these five individuals, each one has a different role. And you basically have to go through and make sure, number one, all of the medical records from all the providers are submitted. A lot of people lose their case because they don't get the medical records or they don't know how to get the medical records. When you're sick and in bed, it is a daunting task to try to get those medical records and submit them to the judges. So the judges will go through first to say, do we have all the medical records? Do we need to postpone a hearing? Once you get through the medical records, the judge will let you make an opening statement, will let you outline the specifics of the case, give some background, and then you get into the direct testimony of the claimant is what they're called, of the individual, where the attorney goes question answer, kind of like you see in TV.
Mm,
And the job of the attorney, like I said, is to ask very strategic questions that help a judge understand what's going on. The judge can't just sit there and say, I like this guy. I like this gal. I think I'm going to approve her. The judge also has rules that have been set for them by the Social Security Administration, and the judge has to follow those rules. So the judge has to take your medical evidence in the file, your records. They
mm,
have to take your testimony, which hopefully has been given over correctly with the help of attorney, and then they have to match them up to the rules that Social Security has set to say, you know what? I think that this person should be found disabled. And of course, that's after the vocational expert gives some testimony that says, well, I think that they could work. I think that they can work. I have to cross-examine the vocational expert. And the whole hearing takes about 60 minutes to do. And people get teary, people get emotional.
mm,
Sometimes people, depending on their medical conditions, they may have to go off the record because they're so teary or emotional, or they're having an anxiety attack, or they're vomiting, or whatever's going on with them. Or, there's a lot of things that happen in a hearing where the attorney has to uh, take control, navigate things back the way they're supposed to get to, and drive it home across the finish line to get the person approved.
mm, a lot go on in the process. So yeah.
There is a lot in the process, yes. This is
Wow.
not something that someone should do on their own because there's tens of thousands of dollars at stake. The way that the payments work is that from the date of your onset, of your disability onset, until your approval date, which can take a year and a half, 24 months, 2 years to get done, the Social Security Administration will pay you according to your monthly benefit amount month after month after month after month. So it all accumulates into a big pot because you've waited 18 or 24 months. You have 18 or 24 months of benefits that you've been waiting on that by the time you get to the judge, it's a big pot. It could be $40,000, $50,000. I've had some cases $100,000 in benefits, $150,000 in benefits. There's a lot at stake over here. And to go before a judge without having an attorney by your side when you have that much money at stake, you'd have to be foolish not to have an attorney by your side.
Absolutely.
Which
Sounds.
is why, I don't know if this is a good segue, but which is why I wrote a book, 101 Tips
I was
to win
about
your
to ask
Social
you about that.
Security disability case. That we'll get back to this, but that's why I wrote the book, 101 Tips to Win Your Social Security Disability Claim. And I've provided tips, 101 of them. I mean, there's thousands of them. I may have to have a couple volumes on this, but if you've been practicing as long as I've been practicing, and if you're familiar with what it takes to win a case, put it in writing, which is what I did, make it available to the general public. They should be educated about the process. They should know what they need to do on their end, and they should have this book in conjunction with having an attorney to help them win a case.
So yeah, I was going to ask you about the book. So when did you write the book?
So the book is a I do quite a bit of social media,
Mm,
especially TikTok. I do quite a bit of
mm,
TikToking. I have about 5,500 videos online. I have over 65 million views of all my
wow.
videos combined. And I started out TikToking um, by providing these tips. And I go up there, Social Security tip number one, and I'd give a tip. Social Security tip number two, and I'd give a tip. And people were loving it. It was a lifeline to them. It was shining a light into a dark tunnel, showing them how to get, through and navigate through this maze. So I think I started TikToking around 2022. I came out with the book in 2023, and it's helping a lot of people, and I'm happy and grateful that this book can really be a tool, a resource for people who need the help.
So you're still creating lots of videos on TikTok as well, I guess.
Content, you have to create content. So hopefully I have something good to talk about. Hopefully I have something important to say. And yes, I'm still creating a lot of videos. On some days I might make 5 videos or 8 videos a day, depending on my day, what's going on. It isn't just about making the video and the content and getting out there. There's quite a bit of time and dedication that goes also into responding to all the comments because
Mm,
people are not just saying great video, thumbs up. They're actually following up on your content that you just delivered, and they're saying, well, what if this is my scenario? What can I do? And what if this is my scenario? What can I do? And by helping all these people in their different scenarios, it takes quite a bit of time, but it translates. It translates into helping a lot of people, and translates into people, if they wish, to retain me to help them out across the
mm,
country, all ages. And I'm working very hard, helping a lot of people.
Amazing. Sounds like it's a great like starting point with your book and your TikTok that you're giving out there to connect with people. And yeah,
Yes,
you're recommending obviously they are going to a deep situation to have someone like yourself or an attorney to kind of like hold their hand through the process as well
that's correct.
with those
That's
things.
correct.
So yeah, where can the listener find you on TikTok? What's your handle? Because I know it sounds like there's loads of content there, and
There is
yeah,
loads of content.
and where can they find your book as well?
Okay, so my handle on TikTok and on most of social media is the name of my organization, my name of my company, which is And Benefits for All,
Mm,
which is a play on words because in the Pledge of Allegiance in the United States, it says and benefits for all. It says and justice for all. I apologize. It says, life, liberty, and justice for all. So we've taken out the word justice and we put in the word benefits. So
mm,
that way people understand that there's a tie-in between justice and due process as well as benefits. So my handle is and benefits for all, one word. And the book, I'd say the best place to find the book is on Amazon.
mm,
Just go into Amazon, either put in my name or put in 101 tips to win your Social Security disability claim, and will come up. I'm in discussions with Barnes and Noble and a couple other stores to get it in the stores to make it more available to the general public, and we're working hard to get it out there.
Important book, important message. So thank you for everything you're doing. Is there anything you'd
Thank you.
like to leave us with today in terms of a final point?
I would say like this, when you're down and out and you're sick, really sick, disabling sick, you feel like there's no hope. A lot of times people will try to apply, and like I said, I think in the beginning, there's a 70% denial rate on
Mm,
applications. There's an 85% denial rate on reconsideration appeals. And then it's going to get to a judge. And you need to pick an, first of all, don't give up. Don't give up at the application. Don't get frustrated. Just understand that this is part of the process, and Social Security is weeding people out. They don't want to pay all these people. And the data shows that once someone gets on the program, they never really get off the program. So don't give up. Get an attorney, get the book, um, and uh, and understand that tomorrow is going to be a better day. Or not even tomorrow. This moment, we're going to make it a little bit better. We're not going to wait till tomorrow to get the help. We're going to get right now. We're going to get them the help that they need
mhm,
right now, by assisting them with whatever they need. Don't give up. It's a long process, 18 to 24 months. It requires a lot of perseverance. It requires a lot of dedication. And I tell people all the time in the TikToks, I can't get in an MRI machine for you at home, for the viewer at home. I can't have the surgery for you, the viewer at home. I can't even stick out my hand and have laboratory work or go to therapy sessions, mental health therapy sessions for you at home. This is a partnership. You have to go for the medical treatment. And what's my job? To fight, fight, fight for your rights to get you approved. I'm only as good as the medical records. I always joke around. You need to take a paper and pencil and you need to write the words, go to the doctor. And you need to take a magnet and that piece of paper you need to put on your refrigerator so that every time you go to your fridge, you have a reminder to yourself of like, well, so when was the last time I went to the doctor? How do I expect to win this case if I don't have any medical records and the last time I've been to the doctor was 8 months ago? That's not going to win a case. I'm not saying that you should go to the doctor every week or every other day. You need to go as needed, but it needs to be consistent. Uh, the findings in the medical records need to be well documented. There's
mm,
a lot of doctors who do a sloppy job on documenting medical records.
mm,
They're in a rush. They're seeing a lot of patients and they don't document exactly what goes on. So if you're a patient who is in front of your doctor and you've applied for Social Security disability benefits, and if you see that the doctor is not really writing stuff down in the way that you would hope and documenting your file, you need to say, doctor, with all due respect, time out. I just want you to know respectfully, I'm applying for Social Security disability benefits. And I would really appreciate if we had another 30 seconds or a minute for you to document my file. Because there's going to be an examiner who looks at this records. There's going to be a judge who looks at this records. And I need to make sure you got down all the symptoms, all the diagnoses, all the prognoses, medications. That's the way to win a case.
mm,
Documentation, documentation, documentation. I'm only as good as the medical records. So it's a partnership. You need to
mm.
do your part as the patient, and I need to do my part. I'm not a magician. I don't work in Las Vegas where I can make things appear with a snap of a finger. Um, Having said that, I can't make medical records just appear out of the air. You can't call me and say, well, why did I get denied or how do I get approved when I haven't been to the doctor in 9 months?
Sure.
It just doesn't work like that. Like I said, they're not giving out free money. So don't give up. Get an attorney. Get the book, which is available on Amazon.
Hmm.
And if you need my services, just go to the website of my company, www.andbenefitsforall.com, where you're treated as a person and where I know everyone on a first name basis. You're not treated as a file number. You're treated as a person with respect and compassion. And I'm very proud of that because there's a lot of law firms that are like mills. Let's call them a mill. They're just, turning the cases and moving it down a conveyor belt, moving to my office is really not like that. It's more of a boutique office that provides very custom tailored guidance for these cases, telling people how to get approved.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Thank
And
you. What a treat to be here.
Oh, what a treat to hear you. And we'll be sure to link your website up, your book up, and obviously your socials, including your TikTok up as well. So thanks
Great.
again.
Thank you so much.
Amazing. So that concludes our episode for today. And remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.